So, Olivia, we just read exactly what's on the teleprompter, right?
Yep, simple as that.
Sweet.
All right, let's go.
Let's go. We got this.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Nude News.
Stop. Why are you yelling?
You're supposed to read the teleprompter, and the teleprompter's in all caps.
Oh my god. It's always in all caps. God, I work with morons.
They did not like Obamacare in a box with a fox, in a house, or with a mouse.
Pokemon go to the polls.
Have decided in 2020 to run for president.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
To get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Andrew Furman.
And I'm Mark Ramson.
And welcome to the third episode of Nude News.
A lot is going on this week, not only domestically, but 2 huge foreign elections as well.
In a close race, Justin Trudeau won re-election in Canada this week, without winning the popular vote. Canada's government is a parliamentarian system, meaning that the parliament itself determines who the prime minister is. Trudeau's Liberal Party garnered 157 seats, while the Conservative Party won 121 seats.
Trudeau lost the popular vote to Conservative Andrew Scheer. Scheer and the Conservatives won 34.1% of the vote, while Trudeau's Liberals won 33.1% of the vote. The Liberal Party is no longer the majority holder in Parliament, demonstrating the conservative shift in Canadian politics.
After over a decade of power in Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has conceded as he was unable to form a coalition government in Parliament that would support his candidacy. Since then, Benny Gantz has been asked to form the government as Prime Minister.
Gantz previously held a position as a military official, and his stance on policy is not very clear. In his rhetoric, not many clear indicators to his opinion on public policy is present, which causes some controversy as many people are unaware of what a government under Gantz's leadership would look like.
Hillary Clinton and presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard got into a conflict this weekend as Clinton claimed during a podcast that the Russians were grooming Gabbard to run as a third-party candidate in 2020. This would be detrimental to the Democrats as a viable third-party candidate could take votes away from the nominee.
Gabbard fired back with a tweet saying, quote, "Great, thank you, Hillary Clinton. You, the queen of warmongers, embodiment of corruption, and the personification of the rot that has sickened the Democratic Party for so long, has finally come out from behind the curtain," end quote. Later stating that Clinton was using these claims as a way to destroy Gabbard's reputation and her candidacy.
At least there's nothing anyone could ever use to claim Nude News is a Russian asset.
Well, there is our Kremlin calendar subscription.
Before I left for college, my mother told me to stay off the pole. I'm sorry, Mom, but tonight that's not going to happen. Welcome to Nude News' first ever edition of Pole Dancing.
We're going to break down the Emerson polls while we're breaking it down with our new dance moves.
Our first candidate is Joe Biden, who saw a 2% increase over the past month. Biden is currently leading as he polls at 27%.
Next is Bernie Sanders, who increased 3% from 22% to 25%. This puts him in
second place.
Bernie's surge is surprising to many as he suffered a heart attack this month at the last debate. However, Bernie thrived and was able to quench many voters' concerns.
Elizabeth Warren dropped 2% in the poll, falling to 21%. She comes in third.
Andrew Yang saw a 4% drop, seemingly ending his recent polling surge. He is now polling at 4%.
Tulsi Gabbard saw a 2% increase. This puts her polling at 3% now.
Candidates Castro, Williamson, Ryan, Williamson, and Sestak are now polling at 0%.
And that, my friends, is what I'd like to call pole dancing.
Domestically, Amazon is facing controversy as a store of a 48-year-old employee suffering a heart attack in September is being brought to light. Reports state employee Billy Foister laid on the floor for at least 20 minutes before medical attention is brought to him. Records confirm Foister did report chest pains to Amazon's AmCare in the weeks leading up to the event.
On Monday, Attorney General William Barr of the Justice Department proposed a plan to collect DNA from immigrants crossing the border. This DNA would be put into a large database used to help solve crimes and cold cases according to the Trump administration. The new rule will be put in place if the Justice Department still favors it after a 20-day comment period.
On Tuesday, President Trump once again created political controversy through his Twitter account. His tweet discussing the impending impeachment inquiry left many claiming he was being racially insensitive.
Trump tweeted out, so someday, if a Democrat becomes president and the Republicans win the House, even by a tiny margin, they can impeach the president without due process or fairness of any legal rights. All Republicans must remember what they are witnessing here, a lynching. But we will win. I think it's important that we talk about what lynching really is before we dive into the context of this tweet. For those that don't know, lynching is defined by Merriam-Webster as to put to death, as by hanging, by mob action without legal approval or permission. When discussing lynching, we often think of the atrocities of segregation and Jim Crow laws prevalent in our country throughout the late 19th and early to mid 20th century. Many Democrats feel that Trump's comparison to the heinous racially charged actions against many African Americans was not only racially insensitive, but blatantly disrespectful.
Trump has not been the first to relate their personal struggles with modern-day lynching. The same language has been used by Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, musician R. Kelly, and comedian Bill Cosby. In 1998, presidential candidate Joe Biden called the impeachment of President Bill Clinton partisan lynching.
South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham said Trump's use of the word lynching was pretty well accurate.
Well, Anju, that's the new news of this week.
Thanks, Mark. Without being too much of a tease, we at Nude News are excited to hopefully welcome our first guest onto the show during next week's episode.
Make sure to tune in and see who our guest is.
In the meantime, I'm Andrew Furman.
And I'm Mark Ramson.
Remember, my friends, size only matters when it comes to poll numbers.
And maybe crowd sizes.
See you next week.